Alright, Jonah, seeing as I've done a block analysis for you before, I'm probably not going to give you too much feedback on this. I'm just going to tell you what I see and some things that you're doing right, which when I looked at it before, it seems like you're pretty good with your blocks. There's a couple things I think you should fix, but not too many. Your fixes are a smaller list than the things you don't need to fix. When I first met you, you had both of your pedals basically side by side, and that caused a lot of confusion with your arms when you pushed out of the blocks. They didn't know which arm was supposed to drive forward because your pedals were so close. I see that since you came to camp, you've changed that, and having there be just, some separation between the pedals there helps you to push and drive better out of the blocks. So that's a good thing. Like we discussed, having both of your knees on the ground is fine. I think as long as that is comfortable for you and your body stature. It didn't look like you had any issues pushing out of the blocks coming from a starting position like that. So you don't need to change that if you don't want to. Make sure you're just a little careful about where your arms are at. It's kind of hard to tell from this angle, but it looks like your hands are on the ground a little wide of your shoulders, a little too wide of your shoulders. So you don't want to do that because the wider they get, the lower your center of gravity gets, and it messes with angles and things like that. Another thing is, even though you do have both these knees on the ground, and that's how you like it, maybe whenever you're setting up your blocks or if you're ever changing anything, you should lift the one knee off to make sure and just double check to make sure that shin is parallel to the ground, okay? That just might be a nice little check for you. Then you can put your knee back down. I really liked how you came up into your set position. We told you before in the classroom, you want your hips to come straight up, and they come straight up. They're in the perfect place here, so no problems there. The one thing that I really liked about your block start was that you had very good driving forces and striking forces into the ground. So I'm going to show you that here when we have our initial push. Okay, so here we see that both feet make it off the ground at some point, and you're displaced in the air, which is a good thing. I think you need to be careful about flagging that elbow out a little bit. You have a decent split with your arms, but it looks like that elbow is flagged out, and you want to make sure that you stay as linear as possible. And let's see, if we fast forward to the next steps, what I really like about when you're going to watch this foot come down here, what I really like about how you strike into the ground is that when you're striking and that foot's coming down, it's parallel to your other shin. And that's what you want to see. Sometimes when you see someone overstride, they'll have, you've got this shin here, and they might have this shin angle more like this. Okay, and then they're not parallel, and that's when you see the braking forces happening, and you end up standing straight up and becoming vertical. So you have good striking patterns out of the blocks. Something that I would like to see from you, though, and now we're starting to get a little bit more technical, is I think you're very tense through your shoulders. Just watching you here, you can see it. I think if you can learn to be a little bit more relaxed there, you're going to see greater forces put into the ground. If you see bigger ranges of motion in your arms, you're going to see bigger ranges of motion in your legs. And powerful and big ranges of motions, you start to see some pretty special things. So make sure that you start practicing having a little bit more of a relaxed approach as you're driving. I think really that's all I would change about anything or any type of advice that I have to give. That's it, because your blocks are pretty good. I think, you can just tell through your shoulders and your hands, you're pretty stiff. So definitely work on that relaxation thing. So we'll rewind it here and watch it in slow motion.